Dominik Mysterio wins the NXT North American Championship last night on this week's episode of NXT, marking his first singles championship victory in WWE. Major plans have been halted for a WWE superstar possibly joining a prominent faction on WWE TV. Details on that. Plus, Gable Steveson will give an update on his WWE future next week as he could be competing in the Olympics next year. Logan Paul has asked if he can open SummerSlam so he can attend his brother's fight. We've got the ratings for Monday's edition of Monday Night Raw. Baron Corbin reveals his new character last night on NXT. Los Lotharios could be splitting up, and WWE is optimistic about the brand new Women's Tag Team Champions. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of World Wrestling Entertainment. Let's start off talking about Dominik Mysterio being the brand new WWE NXT North American Champion. Yes, Dominik Mysterio, or should I say Dirty Dominik Mysterio, won his first WWE singles title during this week's episode of NXT. Mysterio defeated Wesley for the NXT North American Championship. The Raw superstar got the pin with the help of his Judgment Day cohorts. Finn Balor distracted the referee while Damian Priest tried to hit Lee with his own title bout, but Lee dodged it. It was Rhea Ripley who ended up nailing Lee with the Women's World Championship. Mysterio got the win, and they all celebrated with the brand new NXT North American Champion. Before losing the title Tuesday night, Lee had held it since October 22, 2022, yes, a lot of 22s, at the NXT Halloween Havoc special when he defeated Carmelo Hayes, Nathan Frazer, Oro Mensah, Von Wagner in a 5-way ladder match for the then vacant championship. Before last night's victory, the only gold that Dominik Mysterio had held was the SmackDown Tag Team Championship in WWE. That was back in the summer of 2021 with his father, WWE Hall of Famer Rey Mysterio. So what are your thoughts on Dirty Dominik Mysterio being the brand new NXT North American Champion? Yes, speaking of the Judgment Day as well, these plans for JD McDonough to join the faction appear to have been halted. Many of the former NXT stars called up during the WWE draft have already made a big impact on either Raw or SmackDown, including the likes of Zoe Stark, Grayson Waller, and Pretty Deadly. One name who seemingly had big plans after being called up was JD McDonough, who had been teased as a potential new member of the Judgment Day upon his call-up to Monday Night Raw. JD last appeared on Raw speaking to Finn Balor in a brief backstage segment before Damian Priest walked in and McDonough left. Fans have been expecting McDonough to join the group following all of these teases, but it turns out we may have to wait a little while longer. Per WRKD Wrestling, JD's plans involving the Judgment Day have been halted for the time being. JD was in action on the WWE main event tapings prior to this past week's episode of Raw, where he was defeated by Apollo Crews. Speaking of the Judgment Day, of course, Dirty Dominik Mysterio is the brand new NXT North American Champion. Damian Priest is Senior Money in the Bank, and Finn Balor is set to challenge Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship at SummerSlam in Detroit next month. Of course, Rhea Ripley is also the Women's World Champion also as well, so very successful time for the faction. Let's talk about NXT and Gable Steveson because he's going to be making a decision on his WWE future very, very soon. Over the past month or so, Gable Steveson, through his appearances on NXT, has given fans a taste of what his future as a pro wrestler may look like. Now, the Olympic gold medalist is faced with the most difficult decision of his young life, either to unretire from NCAA and Olympic amateur wrestling in order to represent his country at the 2024 Summer Olympics, or sharpen his skills as a performer/entertainer in the world of professional wrestling/sports entertainment. On Tuesday's NXT, a promo aired through which Steveson revealed that he will announce his decision next week. Quote, "Everyone has been talking about my future," Steveson began. "What's next for Gable Steveson? I can go back to school and go after another NCAA Division I national title. I can set my sights on Paris representing our country in the Olympics and go after my second Olympic gold medal, or I can stay right here in WWE and NXT. Next week, I decide my future." The promo seemed to suggest that even if Steveson does pursue the career of a pro wrestler, he'd most likely begin his journey on the NXT brand as opposed to being fast-tracked to the main roster. Steveson, originally drafted to Monday Night Raw in September of 2021, has only made sporadic appearances since signing with WWE in 2021, with most of his recent cameos coming as the trainer of Eddie Thorpe on WWE's developmental brand. Prior to those sightings, he appeared on an episode of SmackDown in December last year where he celebrated fellow fellow Olympic gold medalist Kurt Angle's birthday by hosing down the Alpha Academy with a milk truck. There's been a lot of uncertainty surrounding Gable Stevenson's WWE future ever since his return to freestyle wrestling at the US Open and Final X earlier this year. Subsequently, Stevenson told MMA Fighting that he was toying with the idea of pursuing another Olympic gold medal, stressing that he still had a lot more left in the tank and wanted to capitalize on one more year of his NCAA eligibility. So we'll have to wait and see what happens next week. What do you think Gable Stevenson is going to say and do regarding his future in the world of professional wrestling and amateur wrestling as well? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Now, Logan Paul is expected to compete at SummerSlam, most likely against Ricochet, but he wants to go on first. While it's yet to be made official, Logan Paul has seemingly confirmed that he will be wrestling at SummerSlam on August 5th. However, there is an added request surrounding his appearance. On his Impulsive podcast, Paul revealed that he has specifically asked WWE to pencil in his match, which is reportedly against Ricochet, as the opening contest for the SummerSlam card. This move was prompted by Logan's hope to see his brother Jake fight Nate Diaz in their upcoming professional boxing match, which is slated to take place on the same night in Dallas, Texas. Quote, "As soon as my match ends, I'm going to hop on a private jet, fly to Dallas in my wrestling gear, walk in the ring with my brother for his fight against Nate Diaz," Logan said. "I'm going to try. I don't know if I'm going to make it, but I think if I do, it will be minutes. I'll walk into the venue round one, Jake Paul, Nate Diaz starts. It is barely possible, but how incredible would that be?" With SummerSlam emanating from Detroit, Michigan, Logan says a departing flight to Dallas would last approximately 2.5 hours. As the plane crosses over the central time zone, the clock also shifts back 1 hour. Per his mathematical calculations, Logan believes it's barely doable for him to land in Dallas and arrive at the American Airlines Center in time for Jake's fight, which presumably will start at 11 p.m. Central Time. The contest would also mark Diaz's professional boxing debut too. As Logan waits to hear back on his request, he is set for another encounter with Ricochet on this week's episode of Monday Night Raw. So the question is, will Logan Paul be opening SummerSlam, or should there be another match that opens the show? Let me know your thoughts about that in the comment section below. Speaking of Raw, we have the ratings for this week's episode on USA Network. Last week, coming off the expected drop during July 4th weekend, the Nielsen ratings for Monday Night Raw recovered to the levels that they had been as of late. This week, though, there was the extra hook of Brock Lesnar being advertised for the show. So with that in mind, how much of a change was there, if any? Well, according to reports from Pro Wrestling Torch and WrestleNomics Patreon and Twitter pages, Monday's Raw averaged 1.881 million viewers, which is up 4% from last week. Approximately 740,000 of which were in the key demographic, most valued by advertisers, that being adults aged 18 to 49, which is up approximately 2% from the week prior, so essentially flat. But the latter figure translates to a 0.57 rating in the 18 to 49 demo. There is no comparative ranking data that was available at the time of this recording. Programming Insider had projected earlier on Tuesday that based on preliminary numbers, USA Network was the top network in prime time for the night, thanks to Monday Night Raw. Based on the final network primetime numbers at Spoiler TV, that held up across the 3 hours of primetime, albeit with ABC's Jeopardy Masters, which aired opposite the first hour of Raw, beating Raw with a 0.66 rating in the 18 to 49, before the rating halved for the American Idol clip show that lowered the primetime average. This week's Raw was here with its 0.57 rating in the 18 to 49, was up 4% from the 2023 average up to this point as well in the previous 10 weeks, both of which sat at 0.55. At this point last year, the year-to-date average was 0.46, so Raw is up 20% year over year in that regard, and just goes to show WWE really is performing very well in the ratings, particularly for SmackDown, but also for Monday Night Raw as well, which isn't easy considering the show is also over 3 hours. Baron Corbin, we've got a glimpse at his new character as he redevelops himself in NXT. Since making a return to NXT, Baron Corbin has been going through a metamorphosis of sorts, recently being shown in spooky/mysterious vignettes saying goodbye to all of his former gimmicks. After lighting props of his former iterations on fire, his King's Crown from King Corbin and a fedora from Happy Corbin among others, this week more details were revealed about who he is becoming. In another dimly lit video, he approached a hooded figure and tapped them on the shoulder, but the man turned out to reveal himself to be actually Baron Corbin, with Corbin affirming that he plans on being himself from now on. So Baron Corbin's going to be himself. Whether that's the Lone Wolf, whether that's a new version of Baron Corbin, we'll have to wait and see. But what are your thoughts on Baron Corbin's change into a new character on the developmental brand? Now, we could be set to see Los Lotharios split up as a tag team. Now, real-life family cousins, they might not be a tag team no more. On last night's NXT, there was a tag team match pitting the team of the Heritage Cup champion Nathan Frazer and Dragon Lee against Humberto Carrillo and Angel Garza. Firstly, there was something notable about the fact that Carrillo and Garza weren't once referred to as Los Lotharios, not even in the entrance video, the nameplate graphic, or by the ring announcer or commentators. While it turns out that may have been just the first sign of something more ominous, as it appears the cousins may be splitting up after only just moving to NXT as a tag team. Garza and Carrillo lost their match against Frazer and Lee, but after the match is where things became even more newsworthy. There was an exchange at ringside between Carrillo and Garza, with Carrillo getting mad and shoving Garza down and telling him it was all Garcia's fault that they lost. Garza then tried to chase Carrillo down, but he got away through the crowd. This was their first match together since the team since way back in January, and it looks like it may have been their last. So possibly we're going to see Garza versus Carrillo maybe feuding in NXT moving forward as well. Finally, on Raw on Monday, we saw brand new Women's Tag Team Champions, and WWE is reportedly very optimistic about the tandem of Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville. The backstage reaction to the Women's Tag Team Championship changing hands on Raw has now been revealed. On the July 17 show, Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville won their first titles in WWE, defeating Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez for the Women's Tag Team titles. Despite being heels, the duo were clearly emotional as they left with the gold, and Pyro went off while Deville and Green were celebrating their win. Per WrestleVotes, WWE is hopeful that Deville and Green can stabilize the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship with a meaningful run with the gold. Noting that WWE is optimistic about the new champions, WrestleVotes tweeted, quotes, "There is a feeling of optimism from the company around new Women's Tag Team Champions in Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville, with hopes the two can stabilize the tag titles with a substantial run as champions." Deville and Green were notably introduced to WWE fans on the 2015 season of Tough Enough, while Deville was signed by WWE shortly thereafter. Green's first WWE run began in 2018. Since then, Green has left and returned to WWE, departing the company in 2021, before making a comeback in January's 2023 Women's Royal Rumble match. So WWE is hopeful they can stabilize the division for the Women's Tag Team Championships. Do you believe that's also the case? But there you go, guys. It's the latest WWE news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right-hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.